Good afternoon, everybody, from Anchorage, Alaska. I am Eric J. Hecker with Deciphering My Experience, and today we are going to be talking about one of my absolute favorite books, Stalking the Wild Pendulum by Bentov. I came across this book many years ago. Let me take you back a ways. In 2004-ish, I guess I would say, I started to have what people commonly refer to as bleed back from the SSP program. I was having dastardly nightmares, all kinds of visions of images of science things and geometrical patterns and such that didn't make much sense to me. So I started inquiring and digging into books and literature to find out things about the past, what these symbols meant. And in that process, which was many books deep, I would start to come across things that I obviously didn't comprehend. I hadn't learned these things before. There were new topics. And in my studies, I would, get to a point in a book where I couldn't go further. I wasn't comprehending the material, so I'd put a Post-it in it. And I would go look for another book pertinent to the information that I was trying to learn stuff on. And it was in a similar circumstance to that I was in an aisle at a bookstore once again. And interestingly enough, as I walked down the aisle trying to consider what to do to find a book pertinent to the topic line that I was following, I reached to my left, and right on the shelf was this book, Bentov, Stalking the Wild Pendulum. More importantly, on the mechanics of consciousness. That's actually what the book is about. Stalking the Wild Pendulum is an analogy that the author utilizes to help explain his perspective on consciousness. Please don't let this concept, this title, anything about this scare you. Bentov does an excellent job at writing for everybody. It's simple concepts that are kept in simple terms. These are not complex things. He's just a gentleman who was ahead of his time and was able to do this for our benefit. Interestingly enough, this video is a continuation of the Stargate series from one of my last videos where I had shown the Stargate permission slip, basically. And these programs such as Grill Flame, Sunstreak, Center Lane, all these associated Stargate projects effectively were using the same protocols and processes. And it was in those protocols and processes that I found this. Through my digging on the CIA website and finding through the Freedom of Information Act, what's now been declassified information, we now see that not only did I find this book to be rather interesting, but so did these programs. This letter, dated 9 June 1983, subject, analysis and assessment of the gateway process. Now, I did actually find a link for this on the internet that I'm going to try to put in the links below, so take a look at it. While you're there, please subscribe and like the video if you're getting anything out of this stuff. But please take a look at this information. I'm not going to bore you with going through every single darn line of it, but please take a look. The information is available, and it's very important, especially if you think that you've been in the SSP program or impacted in maybe another program that's similar, another USAP program or something of the likes. This is to Commander, U.S. Army Operational Group, Fort Meade, Maryland, and it is signed Wayne M. McDonald, Commander, Detachment O. I will read you the first paragraph because it is pertinent to what I'm covering tonight, so in order for you to follow along with what I'm doing this evening. It says simply, "You tasked me to provide an assessment of the Gateway experience in terms of its mechanics and ultimate practicality. As I set out to fulfill that task, it soon became clear that in order to assess the validity and practicality of the process, I needed to do enough supporting research and analysis to fully understand how and why the process works. Frankly, sir, that proved to be an extremely involved and difficult business. initially based on conversations with a physician who took the gateway training with me. Let's not forget, this is someone who's talking from direct firsthand experience with someone who is a professional that he brought in that capacity to experience this with him for a real assessment. He was doing due diligence to do his job. I had to be able to construct a scientifically valid and reasonably lucid model of how consciousness functions under the influence of the brain hemisphere synchronization technique employed by Gateway. That, shows that he was interested in doing the right thing. Now, this Gateway program, this is where it's going to get complex. What I'm trying to do for you folks here is basically brick by brick. I want to build for you an edifice of the truth. My expertise is craftsmanship and trade work. So discussing this with other people, it seems that this is my best comfort level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a brick of information. I'm going to give you another brick of information, and we're going to build an edifice of truth that's going to be pretty profoundly different from things that you might have thought were going on. But with that being said, this Gateway program was part of the Monroe Institute, and the Monroe Institute was brought to us by Bob Monroe, and we have some information on that. Had some information on that. Here we go. This is a brief description of the Gateway hemispherical syncing process. Fundamentally, the Gateway experience is a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brain waves output between the left and right hemispheres, so as to alter consciousness, moving it outside the physical sphere, so as to ultimately escape even the restrictions of time and space. The participant then gains access to the various levels of intuitive knowledge which the universe offers. What differentiates the Gateway experience from forms of meditation is its use of the hemisync technique, which is defined in a monograph by Monroe Institute trainer as, quote, a state of consciousness defined when the EEG patterns of both hemispheres are simultaneously equal in amplitude and frequency. Folks, this stuff is measurable. This is what these programs were working on. It wasn't guesswork. They were working very hard to make sure that their results were real. Now, the interesting thing from reading the information in the Stargate program is that they never, ever stated to know why someone knew something. They very clearly stated they did not know how the remote viewers, how the participants, how the trained personnel under the tutelage of the Monroe Institute and folks like Bentov were able to ascertain the information that they could gather. They called it remote viewing. They called it anomalous mental phenomenon. They did everything they could to title it. What they couldn't do was define it. And what they also couldn't do was ignore the reality of it going on. That's what this is about. They go on to clarify for folks that still might not be getting this mental function and possibility. The human mind in its natural state may be likened to an ordinary lamp which expends energy in the form of both heat and light. But in a chaotic, incoherent way, which diffuses its energy over a wide area of rather limited depth. On the other hand, the human mind, under the discipline of hemisync, acts after the fashion of a laser beam, which produces a disciplined stream of light. Focus mental strength, people. This is what it's about. You know, the idea of, you know, like a light bulb radiating outward is basically what they're getting at, but just taking all of that, focusing it, and we can do this with our mental efforts. The mind can bring itself into synchronization with more sophisticated and rarefied energy levels in the universe. Sounds like a cool topic. What do they mean by rarefied energy levels? It's fun to play with words. The mind, when operating at these increasingly rarefied levels, is assumed to be capable of processing the information thus received through the same fundamental matrix by which it makes sense of ordinary physical sensory input to achieve meaning in cognitive context. It works. The gateway system uses hemisync and other audio techniques employing the FFR phenomenon, that's frequency following response, to introduce a variety of frequencies which are played at virtually subliminal, marginally audible levels. Subliminal and marginally audible. That's interesting because last time we were discussing the Stargate program and their ability to work on human subjects. It stated very clearly in that literature that the subjects could be knowing or unknowing. So that's something to consider for you folks that might be in the targeted individual range of life, is that this paperwork trail that I'm following really supports the possibility of the gripes that you folks maintain. I get it. Excuse me. Now, back to Bentov. One of the things that Bentov does that's going to be extremely important to folks in the SSP programs and folks that are cognizant of different timelines, so to say. This here, what I have going on is a hybridization from Bentov's book. There's two charts, two graphs in his book, and this is basically just squishing the information from the two graphs into this one. And this is why this video is really here, because this is what's going to help people. All the information, everything that's in this book, you should read this book. Everything that's in that report, I'm going to link it. You should read that report. It's a wonderful brick. It's going to be required to build the edifice. But for the here and the now and to help people today, this is the information that needs to get out there. This is Bentov's idea of a timeline, and he suggests and supports that we can actually be experiencing on multiple levels simultaneously. And this is a lot of program folks might understand this. So here is basically the direction that time is moving. We have the upper timeline and we have the lower timeline. This is the here and now. And this is however you want to call it, secret space program timeline, whatever your other alter timeline is. This is how Bentov explains it. You're working this way, and most people consider us going on a single line this way. It's not the case. We actually go and we switch, and we jump up to this timeline up here. And you can see that there's this little gap. That little gap here may not seem like much. It's your little sleep zone, daydream, whatever's going on. But then when you move upward to the other level, it expands out, and that's your other time. So in experiential realities, this whole time here seems and appears linear, slightly broken up by moments of what you would call rest. But in reality, it's transitional. Some of you other folks that are a bit more esoteric, you may notice that this transition, as you move upward and then across again, you have a 45-degree angle here and a 45-degree angle there. That would be 90 degrees of transformation for those of you in the know. But that's another topic. But anyhow, once you traverse your 90 degrees of transformation, you get up top here, you're on your other timeline. And you can spend just as much time up there as you can down here. And then up there, a perceived rest period is actually just you breaking back into your other altered timeline. Now, program folks might have a comprehension or feeling of bleed back and stuff like that, or bleed through. And the issue for the dreamscape and bleed memories, dream memories, screen memories, all these types of topics, is that this zone here is very clouded, so to say. You don't get to see directly to the other side. So anything that's coming through from the other side, almost by design, has this perception to the observer of being a dream or unreal, but something that they don't really want to commit to because they can't confirm it. Very little time is spent here with your focused attention, but these areas here is where our attention is focused to regularly. We just can't do it at the same time. For most people, some have such a talent. And that's basically it. I wanted to make sure that this might help some folks with some timeline issues. I hope that you guys read the book. I hope that you guys are going to read the literature that I'm putting out there. It's very pertinent to what's going on contemporarily, and it's going to make sense of the big picture. I will try and get more bricks together as fast as possible. I'm going to be trying to do more interviews with folks and getting more T's to cross and more I's to dot. Again, if you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the like button. If you want notifications, you can ring the bell, and then apparently you'll get notified every time I post a new video so you don't miss anything. If you're that enthused about what's going on, please feel free to do so. I wish you guys the best of luck. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I've had some great questions. I've also had some great assistance from folks. The link that I'm going to be putting up, I got from a friend on the page, so thank you very much. I don't want to give out your name because I don't know if you're cool with that. But thanks to everybody that is helping out on this project. The assistance is needed, and I welcome it. Any information that you guys have, welcoming that as well as questions. I'd like to see everybody get on the mend as fast as possible and help each other out. So best of luck, have a great evening, and I'll see you guys soon.